Hi everyone. Welcome to my first official tutorial on how to make a Vroid model of a mouse. It actually you can get some really nice looking models with just a mouse. I do my hair of only my mouse, so there's nothing wrong with doing it at all, and it can really help you achieve something you're proud of. And I think that that's great, especially if you don't have the money to go and commission a full blown model. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to camera, no, I'm gonna go to general editor. I'm gonna, what I personally do is I take the outline off. You can keep it if you want. You can keep it, it just outlines the body and the hair. So then I go to room light and turn the shrink down to 0 for both hair and body. Don't mess with the compression because it can really mess with the shaders. Import it to VC face. Again, I'm not gonna touch the shading. The eye excursion of a spring bone. So, okay, let's go into the phase. You want to go into texture. But first, before you do that, you want to edit your model however you want it to look. So, personally, I'm gonna make a more mature looking character. And you can just go into the individual categories. You know, like smallness. If you want to do elf ears, that's how it looks best. You know, all that good stuff. And your face contours. Basically, at this point, like, you don't have to follow each tutorial. Do whatever you want. But then you want to go into face skin. And you don't have to do what I'm about to do. You can stick with the default face if you want to. But I'm personally gonna, on a new layer, I'm gonna do my own skin color. And I'm gonna color the entire face. This is just my mouse, by the way. So what I personally do is I would turn on a mirror. And then if you have a skin color like this, you probably want something warm, like more of an orangey red. And then make a new layer above the one you made before. And you want to get the airbrush and turn the opacity down. This is to do under the chin. And you can also use it to do the ear. You just want to like follow the contours off the grid. And you can turn up the opacity. And then add lines to the inside of the ears if you want to. If you want it to look more like you did with a pen, you can do your lines like this. But then go back in with an eraser and clip off the ends. This is like a hack on how to make something look like you've done it with a pen. Obviously, it's not the cleanest, but it doesn't look bad either. So if you have any like white from where you did that, you want to go back in and just paint over that. And you can, if you want to move around the face like I am, if you hold shift and you click, you left click, it will move the entire face. Okay, so I'm going to add my shading as well, like my contours. So for nose, I go with something like this. But I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit. And then, you want to keep the eyelashes on right now. It's a good reference to tell where your eyelid should go. So you just want to draw on your eyelids like that. Obviously shape them however you want, since there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all down to personal preference. Obviously, you want it to appear above the eyelashes, so just keep working at it until you find something that looks good. And I'm just going to add multiple layers of color to this. You want to turn the opacity down though. It might also help to add a more solid line to solidify it. And again, you can do that whole layer thing I mentioned earlier, where you just make a new layer. And then to make it look like you've done this with a pen, you can just erase the parts that you want to look like that. So here I'm just gonna erase the end. You can turn down the opacity to adjust it, obviously. Just basically fine tune it to however you want it to look. I fully encourage you to experiment with this. So there's our eyelids. And what you want to do is you might want to just bring it in a bit and then shade right here. Get as close to grading as possible using the brush. Like that. Obviously maybe the eyelids are too dark for you, so you can just lighten them up. You don't have to do them like how I'm doing them. And the next thing I do is the mouth. So I get a dark color, like a dark purple. Well, it's more like a red, but it's on the purpley side. Pinky side. And then bring it down. Bring the whip down. And with mirror on, you want to do all of this with mirror unless you want your things to be asymmetrical. I'm going to draw in the mouth. Okay, there's my mouth. You don't have to do it like how I did it. Suggestion for mouth, it does have it like this, but I like to add the smile. It's a very slight smile. If you want to leave it there, you can leave it there. However, I'm going to add a bit of definition to there, like lipstick. So I'm going to go and make a layer underneath, and you want to move that layer down. So you want to create it, and you want to move it down using the arrows. And I'm going to follow the guide. I'm going to turn the opacity down. I'm just going to gently blush in the lips. See, already it's shaping up to look like something pretty good. So you can add definition to these lips as well. You can add lines or just, add highlights. That. You can also use the layer settings here to get a smoother result. So I'm also gonna toggle alpha lock on this part, the main lips, and then I'm gonna just color over them to add more definition to our lips. I'm gonna make them a bit darker. And on the lipstick layer, I'm just gonna extend it a little bit so it goes towards the edge. This is already something I really like. Okay, so you don't have to add blush, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use that same thing I used for the lipstick. I'm gonna increase the width while keeping the opacity at 4. And I'm just gonna gently add blush in. You can make it a bit darker on the sides, like that. And then where you add it, if you want to, you can add the typical anime lines on a new layer. You can have the opacity down for this. Now I'm going to turn the opacity down and then add highlight. So for this, you can turn your mirror back on. I just turn it off so that the lines wouldn't be opposing each other. And you can add a highlight to the cheeks. Again, you don't have to do this. This is my own preference on how I do my faces. And up here, I'm gonna get the dark color from before and then make a new layer and apply multiply to it. I'm gonna turn the opacity down again when I did the highlights. And I'm just gonna add some definition to some of these areas using this dark color. And you can also add a bit of shading around here. I mean, I'm going to turn multiply off here though, so it fits with the bottom. And there's our face so far. Usually with a mouse, I wouldn't recommend doing the eyebrows, so here I'm just gonna change the color of it myself instead of trying to make my own eyebrows, because it is not worth the pain. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on how to do it on a mouse, but right now I'm just gonna use the default. Again, same thing with the eyelashes. It's an absolute pain to do. So if you want, you can either turn them off or just use the default. I'm going to turn them off, personally. I don't usually, but I feel like it looks a bit better without them right now. So the next thing is the eyebrows, well, the eyeline. And you want to, personally, I disable the default image. My Vroid starts spawning again. I disabled the Vroid, the default image. And it looks really cursed, but actually no, I'm gonna turn the opacity of the default image down, and then I'm going to go in with a color. It doesn't matter what color right now. And I'm going to draw in my eyeline. I'm gonna steal the idea from the original of it. I'm gonna copy the shape. I'm just gonna get rid of that. So those are my eyes, well, my eyeline. And I'm going to toggle alpha lock again. As soon as I want the eyebrow, I want the eyeline to be brown anyway. I'm just gonna keep it like that. So I'm gonna add a bit of shading. To the sides. To add a bit of definition. Right above this, I'm just gonna make a hard light layer and draw some lines across. And turn the opacity down. So then we are going to do the irises, the scleras. Just kidding, no, the irises. I'm gonna leave the scleras the way they are. I'm gonna open this. Personally, I draw the eyes myself, but I will also show you how you can import your texture if you want to. Just make sure that all your textures are commercial so that you are allowed to use them in your Vroid avatars. So I'm going to turn the eye highlights off since I don't like them. I'm going to turn them off for now. I'm going to go in my chosen eye color and just gently paint over the top. Being careful about where I'm going. Okay, now on top of this, you can add a multiply layer. Get a dark color, preferably one of a different hue. So I'm going to use purple. And I'm going to use this for the pupil. And then I'm going to turn the opacity down. I'm going to make another multiply layer. Don't worry too much about the edges, you can clean them up afterwards. I'm just gonna keep repeating this. Make sure you have mirror on, because otherwise it's gonna be a pain to replicate it to the other eye. I don't know if I ever said, but to have mirror on, you need to choose this, right here. This is to make sure you have mirror. I'm just gonna keep doing this until I get something I'm happy with. I'm gonna clean up the edges. And what I tend to go and do is I'm gonna multiply it again. I'm gonna go back in and just darken the pupil. Then you want to, if you're done with your eye shading, you can go in and go with a hard light again and pick a color you want for your shading. I'm going to use pink here. I'm going to turn the opacity down and increase the width on my airbrush. This might take a few tries to get something you're happy with. And you can also just, play around with the settings to see what you really like. So I'm going to make another vivid light layer. And I'm just going to, on 100% opacity, I'm going to add little highlights in pink and then the white. I'm going to make small lines. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to make little dots across here. Again, don't be afraid to play around with these layers. You can get a lot of different results if you choose to play around with them. For example, like that, it looks vastly different than what I just had. And then to top it all off, I tend to do my eye highlights straight on the irises. Although you're probably better off doing it on the actual eye highlights. So these are my eyes that I'm gonna go with. And that is the face done. I'm gonna end it here since it's already been 22 minutes. I hope this helped. Feel free to ask me any questions or ask me to make another tutorial. I will eventually if you give me any ideas. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!